my Next Gen HQ fam. What's going on? We have a really, really exciting Live with Next Gen HQ team edition coming at you, and we're going to kick it off in just a minute or two. But first off, come join us. Come get cozy. I know you're scrolling. Sam, do you see them scrolling on their Facebooks right now?
100%. Come join us, everybody.
We would love to invite you into yet another week and yet another edition of Live with Next Gen HQ. And it's a very special one because all of these lovely people are here with me. Mal, do you have any shout outs, any special shout outs you want to give today?
I might be taking somebody else's shout out, but shout out Grandma Rose. I know she's tuning in to every single Live with Next Gen HQ. Happy that she's going to be tuning in. And I'm just going to go with the flow here, Rachel. This interface is amazing. I love it. So I'm having a good time.
Amazing. Dan, what are you most excited for what's to come? How are we feeling?
I'm excited to have a jam session with all of you guys. This is going to be incredible.
Jam sessions with the Next Gen fam are absolutely the best, and we so appreciate you coming back every single week to join us on these live webinars. They're really a time for us to get together, to find some inspiration, to share some stories, and to really bond together in what we call this crazy entrepreneurial journey that we are all on.
That's right.
Speaking of that, did you happen to see something very exciting we launched yesterday that's specifically meant to help you on your entrepreneurial journey?
There's an event happening somewhere. I forget where it's happening. Dan, do you know the answer?
I feel like I got to kick this one to Sam now.
Guys, NGS at home, Entrepreneur Toolkit, Momentum Magazine. We launched so many things yesterday. It's insane.
Guys, I got to put something out there. If you have not watched the IG live video of Justin and Dylan losing their minds, go watch it. I'm telling you, I was watching it yesterday and I got very distracted. I swear my phone battery life increased from that. Energy was crazy. So go check it out.
Pure momentum. Yep.
We will make sure that all of the links to all of this fun announcements and all of this energy are in the comments. But for today, we know that Justin and Dylan are bringing that same energy to this very webinar, even though their faces aren't here. But who we do have are three fantastic individuals that I'm so excited to introduce you to. Many of you already know these beautiful faces, but if not, we have first up the lovely Malekai Mischke, who is the Director of Business Development at Next Gen HQ. We have a fellow BP team member with us, Samantha Mitchell, who is the Partnership Marketing Manager at Next Gen HQ. That's a tongue twister. Wow. And then finally, that lovely face in blue, Dan Russo, who is the Director of Real Estate Operations at Next Gen HQ. Also,
we have the GOAT, Rachel Lee Gross, the Director of Community, the best moderator in the world. We're all kind of maybe kind of nervous. It's the first time going on TV before. This is TBS, but Rachel's going to make us feel really, really comfortable.
Rachel's the true queen.
Oh, thanks, guys. So on that note, we're going to get right into the good stuff, what you all have been waiting here for. We have these three fantastic Next Gen HQ team members who all come from their own perspectives, different backgrounds, but have ended up on this journey of momentum through their work with Next Gen HQ, through their previous experiences, and are definitely entrepreneurs that you all should be learning from. So guys, we're going to kick it off with a little bit of a Next Gen HQ tradition and some rapid fire questions. So I'm going to say three different questions and you're just going to go from Samantha, Dan to Mal and tell me your answers. Are we good?
Yep.
Let's do it.
What's your confidence boost song?
Oh, why do I have to go first? Weight of the World.
Mary's Place by Bruce Springsteen.
Dynamite by Tyler Cruz.
Lovely. What's your favorite book?
The Shining. Easy.
The Third Door by Alex Bonian.
It's just way too hard. I got Tools of Titans on my desk. That's my answer.
I love that. What's your spirit animal?
The sloth. 100%.
I'm just going to go with my spirit animal's Mal.
Your spirit animal?
Yeah,
your spirit animal is the most energetic tiger of all time. That's what I see you. For me, I've gotten a turtle or an eagle. I think of myself as more of a cheetah. That's what I always wanted to be like when I was young. So I'm going with that.
I love that. And finally, what's your favorite day of the week?
Ooh, Tuesday. Build days at Next Gen HQ.
In case anyone didn't know, we have this little inside tradition, Witch Wall Wednesday at Next Gen HQ. It's my favorite day of the week.
Are you going to explain the actual hashtag or just have them?
We're going to leave people to wonder.
Okay, sounds good. My favorite day is actually Monday. Loving all the meetings that we have that day and just to see the whole team. It's always so great to start the week off that way.
I love that. Everyone watching, thank you so much for joining. You are really getting an inside look at what makes the Next Gen HQ team members tick. So this is going to be so much fun. We've got a ton of people going off in the comments, being so excited to see everyone here. We've got some shout outs to Sam, asking how Malekai's hair is always so perfect, and someone picking up on real estate and what that could possibly mean for Next Gen HQ. But we're going to save all of these good things to come and dive into really your stories, because that is exactly what we're here to talk about. That's what we're here to share with all of our community members about how you've ended up on your entrepreneurial journeys and everything that's coming. So you each, as I kind of mentioned before, you each come from really different backgrounds. I know we have some VC, we have some international abroad studies, we have content creation and Broadway, all kind of various different elements. But what I'd love to kind of start off with, and Mal, I'll kick it to you first. Where did you first see yourself going for your professional journey? So take us back to high school, back to college. What was that ideal person that you wanted to be when you grew up?
That is a fantastic question. I want to begin with a shout out to the Next Gen Summer Intern Squad, just killing it in the comments. We love you guys so much. I know all of us here feel the exact same way. When I was in high school, so I grew up in China. I'm straight from China. I went to an international school in Beijing for 13 years. What that did for me is there were so many different perspectives and there wasn't one defined path. I think maybe if you're from a smaller town somewhere, everybody does a similar thing, but for me, it was very different. So I never really thought like, I got to go to a good school, get that consulting job and work for 40 years. It was, I guess a lot more options were presented in front of me. Me personally, I like to play basketball and I like to work with culture. I'm bicultural, biracial. And so I thought either like play basketball or travel after college. So I'm like, ooh, semi-pro basketball, could I do that? I don't really know, but that's where I was thinking when I was younger back then.
I love that. Really interesting. And I know you would have definitely killed it as a professional basketball player, though I am really excited that you made your way to Next Gen HQ anyway. Dan, I know that you also had some similar sports enthusiasm in your past.
Yeah, absolutely. Much like Malekai, I'm a massive sports fan. And I actually studied sports journalism at University of Maryland in college. So I thought I wanted to be the next Scott Van Pelt hosting Sports Center at night. Instead, I'm on Next Gen HQ live, which will be bigger than Sports Center one day. It's already bigger than Sports Center.
One day, Dan is going to lead this and it's going to be better than SVP, right?
I have mad respect for SVP, so we'll have to see about that one. But no, but I wanted to be a sports journalist. Always enjoyed content and writing, and then eventually decided to leave that. But yeah, I'll leave it there for now.
Amazing. And on that note of content and writing and everything fun there, Sam, what was your ideal Sam when she grew up?
Yeah, so I went through a lot of different things, but I always had a passion for theater. I grew up as a theater kid. And in high school, I wasn't getting cast as much as I was in elementary school. So I fell into makeup and the tech side of things. And I decided to take a semester before I went to college, and I went to makeup school and specialized in special effects makeup. And I thought I was going to do the movie makeup thing. So my path is a little random, but
I mean, I think that can be said for so many entrepreneurs, though, having some ideal path that they thought was going to work out and then figuring out, you know what, maybe I am passionate about other things. Maybe I do really want to be able to make an impact on what I'm doing. So I feel like you all have that common thread. Mal, one thing that you mentioned before that I'd love to hear a little bit more on, you mentioned something about kind of having the courage to change paths, to do your own thing, to maybe even go against what other people were telling you to do. What did that emotionally and mentally take in order to kind of have that strength and that courage?
Yeah, it meant really surprising a lot of your friends. When a lot of my friends in college, they took that really cool banking or consulting job. For me, I was like, I'm going to try something really different. I'm going to go lead a backpacking trip in Europe and see if I like it. I didn't like it. It was really, really hard. I was in a tent for a month and a half. That was not for me, but I learned really quickly that, okay, I tried that. I didn't like it. And so for me, it was always trying to think about it and think about in 10 years, what am I going to want to have done? You know, what do I want? What kind of experiences do I really care about? I know people like the next generation care maybe more about experiences than actual material wealth. And so I was really thinking about that. How can I have the really cool experiences as much as possible, especially when I'm young? That was going on in my head.
I love that. Focusing in on the experience. What does that kind of look like, Dan, for you in particular? Because I know that you mentioned content marketing, more of the creative side. And then a little birdie maybe told me that you worked in VC before you got to NextGen HQ. So what did that really take?
Yeah, it was interesting because I was actually able to use that content skills that I learned as a journalist to be able to parlay into working for an angel investor. The short story is that I met a guy on a golf course. The long story is that guy turned out to be a successful CEO who had just sold his company and needed marketing for his personal brand to bring in investments that he was seeking to use his capital that he had gained to be able to support and advise those entrepreneurs. Shout out Super Coffee, one of those previous investors. Yeah. Not a big fan. I turned him into an evangelist for Super Coffee. But I was able to use those skills to parlay into an area that I'd always been interested in, entrepreneurship and startups. And then once I was in, I never left. And that's actually how I came to NextGen, which was through the network that I built at that previous company. So it was a great start, and it is the reason why I'm here today.
I love that. And we're so glad that you were able to find your way through NextGen HQ with what you were doing in the past before. I think you hit on something really, really interesting, what you just said there. It was the start. And it was that moment where you knew this was it. You loved it. You wanted to be in this world for so long. Sam, it seems like you've been in an experience where you've had kind of different starts in different industries along the way and trying to find yourself through all of those different paths. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more kind of about that experience and what just kind of finding yourself really meant?
Yeah, that's a great question, a deep question. I have a lot of different passions. And for me, growing up, I always knew that I didn't want to go to work for a paycheck. I knew I wanted to go to work because I loved doing whatever I was doing. So yeah, I tried a lot of different things. I worked retail all through college. Not for me, definitely for some people, but glad to not be in that realm of the world anymore. Moving to New York, and I was trying to do the movie makeup thing. Didn't work. I ended up landing a job on Broadway, not doing anything really creative, but more as a sub usher. Hopefully when Broadway reopens, I can do that again. But my aha moment for entrepreneurship really came from, shout out to Annie Stout, my intro to entrepreneurship professor at FGCU. I think it's every college kid's worst nightmare to be cold called in class. And she did it to me. She was like, Sam, can you spitfire a random idea that you have for a business? And I did it. She believed in me. We ended up creating the business. She helped me and advised me on how to do it. And I wouldn't be where I am today without her.
So you spat fire in class, just a new idea came out, and that's what happened?
That's literally what happened. She was like, I never spoke up in class. I was really shy. And it was like probably week 2 of the class. I knew nobody. And she was like, Samantha Mitchell. She looked at the chart, had no idea who I was. And I was like, okay. And I came up with this idea. She ended up telling me about this new program being created called the Runway Program, which was like Shark Tank, but without the cameras at FGCU. And I got accepted into that program. And day 1 of orientation, everyone's going around saying their business ideas. And I'm thinking about the one that I had in class, and I was like, this idea is garbage. So I spitfired a random idea at the end of that whole conversation, and that's the idea that I ended up launching my first business with. And
then you kept that going for a while, right?
Yeah.
Business, yeah.
Yeah, like 2.5 years.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, so I remember this. Justin somehow found Sam Mitchell on LinkedIn. I have no idea how he found it, because I know his profile. It was, you know how like there's a LinkedIn bar for completion? There was a lot of like, not very much blue, not much completion on her profile. So Justin somehow found her. And I ended up having a conversation with Sam, and she told me that whole story. And I remember after that whole conversation, I just called up Justin and was like, Sam Mitchell, stud. Hung up the phone. The one time I've hung up before Justin, but that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
And it's super, super cool that Sam's been able to bring that background to Next Gen.
Guys, fun fact, I almost didn't respond to Justin's message. It's all because of my mother. Shout out Mama Mitch. I thought it was sketchy. I was like, there's no way I'm responding to this random LinkedIn message. My LinkedIn at the time had nothing to do with entrepreneurship. I was like, how did this guy find me? But Mal sold me. Best decision ever.
So funny. Sam, do you mind telling us what that business was that you had been running for 2.5 years, you mentioned?
Of course, yeah. So it is, I grew up in, or not grew up, but I fell into the beauty world, the cosmetic industry. So I created like an all things beauty, all in one place app called Smooch. We can't find it right now. We pulled it off the app store. Hope to one day start it up again. But yeah, it's challenging to start an app. So anyone in the Next Gen community who needs some guidance, I'm definitely here for you. But yeah, it's definitely a good time.
I love that. And on that note, Mal, I know that a business wasn't in your past before, but what was a transition period from being an international individual to then coming in, going and living in Minneapolis, going to the Carleton School for business. What was that experience like of having to really change a lot of different characteristics about yourself, possibly, to kind of get to that point?
Yeah. So after college, I talked about it earlier, did not really know what I wanted to do. So I tried a bunch of different things from that backpacking trip experience. I actually really wanted to get a Fulbright because I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. I'm going to go teach English in Taiwan. I'm going to get to travel. It's like really prestigious. That's what I thought I wanted when I was a senior in college. I'm like, I know that's it. I didn't get it. And it was really, really tough because you apply like a year earlier and they don't tell you for an entire year. But after that, I'm like, you know what? I still want to try to teach English. Not going to go to Taiwan. I'm going to go to Italy because, like, why not? People like Italy. Did that for a little bit, but got bored. And my main takeaway from all that was I needed to be all in on something. I couldn't be all in on that backpacking thing. Couldn't be all in at teaching English in Italy. It was too easy. But after that, I got to start a digital coupon business with a couple college friends. 5 dudes living in the house. It was a lot of fun. We made zero money, but it was so much fun. And being all in is how I realized that I needed to have that kind of passion for something to feel truly fulfilled. And so when I found Next Gen, when I was applying, I'm like, I got to do whatever I can take to get that so I can be all in.
Amazing. I mean, you certainly did that because you ended up here. Dan, what did being all in look like for you as far as kind of coming from this space where you knew you loved entrepreneurship? Like from the start, this just kind of really resonated with you. But it seems as though there's probably been several reawakenings within that period of really feeling fulfilled.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, being all in means that you're aligned with both the people that you're doing something with and with the why of why you're doing it in the first place.
And you're willing to run through a wall for anybody for the whole mission. Dan is that guy, as we know.
I appreciate it, Mal. Tying back to Witch Wall Wednesday. But yeah, I think you have to have alignment. We talked about this earlier this week as a team, is you have to love what you're doing, but most importantly, and often forgot, is that you need to love who you're doing it with, because that's just as important. If you don't have people along the ride with you to pick you up when you're feeling down, or to pick you up in those lows, or to celebrate the highs with, then the journey isn't as fun. So that's what's really resonated with me since joining Next Gen. And it's been an incredible learning curve in both those areas for me.
Yeah.
What does it mean to, and this is another little tidbit for those of you who don't know about Next Gen HQ, our first value, making relationships #1. Dan, what does it mean to you to be in a position to live out that value fully through internal team members, external community members?
It means the world. I am a relationships first person. I always have been. And to be able to have a team and a community and a business that catalyzes that passion, that personal passion of mine, it just means the world. And to have people that are surrounding you that also make that relationships #1, a centric value that they have, also means the world to me. So It's everything. I believe relationships are not only the lifeblood of business, but in life too. They're everything. The journey is not as much fun without people along your side.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Dylan Smith, who was on Live with Next Gen HQ a couple weeks back. He brought up I think it's called the 5 chimps theory, where you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I know we all feel that we're all really, really lucky. If you want to feel inspired, be around super inspiring people. And yeah, Rachel, Dan, Sam, you guys do that for me. And that makes me feel like I need to continue doing that more. So I just completely echo Dan's whole idea of make relationships and be with the right people, because that's how you're actually going to get to where you want to go.
That's why I decided to work here. When I met everyone, I had like a 5-person meetup for my interview, and I called my mom right after, and I was like, yeah, it's a cool job opportunity, but I love the people. I want to work with these people.
That leads me to think of an interesting question that I'd love to ask really all of you. But Sam, just because you mentioned that, I'll kick it off to you first. What does it mean to know that there's an opportunity in front of you that your heart, your soul, your gut is telling you, you need to take this? This is the right thing for you to do.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, someone, I heard a quote the other day that was, I'm going to butcher this, but something along the lines of, if you're trying to force something in your life, you're going to hit a lot of road bumps. But if something is just meant to be, it'll just fall into your lap immediately. And that's exactly how this all happened for me. I got the LinkedIn message from Justin. I met with Malekai, and everything just fell into place right after that. And I feel like I was trying to force a career that I was hitting all of these road bumps, and it just wasn't happening. And I truly believe it's because it wasn't meant to be, but I was meant to be here with all of you.
Yeah. Dan, what about you? It seemed like, so Dan's first day at Next Gen, we all had amazing first days. I've never seen like so much energy from somebody. When Dan first came in, it was the best day of all time. Dan also went to an Eagles concert that night. It was like, but
I heard the story, by the way. I started after Dan, for everyone.
Poor Dan.
Like Dan, what were you feeling when you heard about the Next Gen opportunity? What was going on in your head?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. If I hadn't scrolled through Instagram one night, I wouldn't even have known that you guys were hiring. So thank you, Instagram. This Next Gen Live is not sponsored by Instagram, by the way. It was a shameless plug. Yeah, I honestly didn't even know that Next Gen was hiring until I had scrolled through the Instagram feed and saw a post from you guys. But when I had previous conversations with Justin just about Next Gen as a whole, learning the story, and from the moment that I stepped into convene for that first meeting with Justin, I felt the energy, and that stayed true to my first day at the company. You guys are what give me energy, because you just exude positivity and passion and feed it into serving entrepreneurs. So my energy source is you guys and having an amazing team.
I feel like it's the other way around. Our energy source is from Dan.
100% comes from Dan.
It's cyclical now.
Maybe. I think it's super cool that you're on Instagram and you find this opportunity and it changes your life. We've all had some sort of experience like that with Next Gen. I was just thinking about Rich Keller's story. I think he was scrolling through Facebook. Is that right, Rachel? And he found Next Gen Summit, and then I think he called Dylan or Justin, and then he's now the man. He's going to make such an impact because of one ad. It's crazy.
The legend of Rich Keller.
Yeah.
It's crazy what opportunities really arise when you, I feel like in some way, are mentally and emotionally ready for them to pop up. I very much feel as though those wouldn't come to us if we weren't in a space of, I need to find something else to kind of feel aligned, even if that makes me feel uncomfortable in the moment to leave what I've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So
if I can hit on that for a second, Rachel, I think that there's a big intersection between intentionality and serendipity. So if you're intentionally going out to, get it out into the world, make relationships number one, to go, serve and lead, and just work really hard, I think that serendipity will find some way to intersect with what you're putting out, and the right opportunity will come to you.
Can you say that again? Yeah, can you say that again? Intentionality and serendipity, something like that?
Yeah, opportunity lies at the intersection of serendipity and intentionality.
That's beautiful.
Malcolm, just wrote it down, please.
I got you guys.
I feel like another part of this conversation, and Dan, thank you for that quote, and I hope everyone is writing it down in the comments right now. I think another important part of this is being in a space where you're okay feeling uncomfortable, because even if you feel as though you're being called to something, there is always that I'm leaving something behind that I have been doing for a while, that I've gotten so used to, and now there's this new thing that my heart is telling me that I need to run after, and the opportunity is here. What does that mean for you all, as far as getting comfortable with the uncomfortable in your role?
Sam?
Yeah, because I was out of practice in the entrepreneurial world for a while before I got back in. So, and I also started with NextGen remotely. I was the first team member onboarded in a remote environment, which was interesting. And definitely was uncomfortable, but all of you made the process amazing, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But yeah, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, that's something that I've heard a lot since starting with NextGen almost 2 months ago. And I just think it's inspiring to hear it and then to take it and run with it in your own life. And for me, it means like pushing the boundaries in everything. So if I'm uncomfortable or get maybe a little nervous meeting a new group of people, I think back to that quote and I'm like, this could change my life. And, you know, it also goes for me with that saying of try anything once. So yeah, get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
So interesting. I think the idea is you have to literally chase being uncomfortable, as counterintuitive as that sounds. You're trying to think like, yeah, I want to relax and feel really good. Yeah. But for everybody in the NextGen community on this team, we realized that we can't just relax all day. We got to put in work. Yeah. Like when you don't even want to put in work anymore. I saw Kobe mentioned in the comments, and Nia and Dylan and everybody in the world love that man. One of his quotes was, those times when you work hard in the morning, when you don't feel like working at night, that's actually the dream. That process is actually what you feel the best about when you're uncomfortable. I'm trying to think about that, where it's weird. I don't actually want to go watch Netflix right now. I want to be putting in work to be going somewhere, even if it kind of sucks when you're feeling that way. So it's a crazy, weird dilemma that we're all dealing with.
Totally. Mal, I'm vibing with what both you and Sam just said. And I'm going to take this to a route through the lens of Jesse Itzler. Jesse has been saying that some routines can sometimes also become ruts. So as great as routines can be for your life, they can also become ruts because we just end up doing the same thing every single day. So how can you systematically break out of those routines and challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone? One way that Jesse teaches his members in his Build Your Life resume course to do this is through setting 30-day challenges and renewing them every month. It's something that I've worked into my practice, and it constantly gets me to step outside my comfort zone, even if it's just a small step, and to try and build new habits, new routines, ones that I think will better me, not only in my personal life, but in my business life as well. So that's, it's important to, I think, systematically find a way to constantly challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, for those that are listening to this webinar right now, reach out to Dan about all that. Dan led one of the best lunch and learns ever on this whole idea of 30-day goal. I think there's a 2-year goal. There's some other things, right, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dan's just dropping the best quotes right now. Like routines equals ruts. What is?
Most of which are not mine. Just want to throw that out there.
I'm giving you credit anyway.
Dan, I feel like you really embody what you were just talking about before, getting out of your comfort zone and putting yourself into situations that maybe you never even realized you would end up in. And I would take it one step further to say, I feel that that's probably what you're doing at NextGen HQ. You stepped into a very different new role in a very different industry that maybe you didn't even really know to expect this was coming. What was that like, taking the opportunity to work with NextGen in real estate while kind of leaving behind a very different career in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it before, I came from an investment world, which gave me a real lens of a lot of different industries: food and beverage, technology, brick and mortar retail, e-commerce, etc. I was never skilled or adept in terms of any one area, but I got a really great variety of businesses that we got to look at as investment opportunities, including real estate. So I'd always had an interest in it. but stepping into a fully real estate position at NextGen was certainly new. I was driving in the right lane of the highway, and I had to move over 3 lanes into real estate. But I absolutely love it. I got a really good piece of advice from someone, CEO of Super Coffee, Jim DeSico. Shout out to him. He's like a sage of wisdom. He told me that when you're considering, this goes back to who you want to work with, not necessarily what you're doing. Subject matter doesn't necessarily matter as much as the why, the mission, and the people that you're doing it with. And I love the subject matter, I love the people I'm doing it with, and I love the mission. So I went out on all 3 of those areas. But I think that really considering why you're doing the things that you're doing, and also who you're doing it with, to kind of tie that back and close that loop, is really important, and actually have a little bit more importance than just the subject matter of the job that you might be considering or the business that you might be starting.
You got to get a mic for Dan to drop every time he talks. That brings up what Dylan was talking about in one of our all hands a couple weeks ago, where the one guy, the janitor working for NASA, wasn't just cleaning floors; he was putting a man on the moon. That's like such a powerful concept. If you can find a company where you truly believe in the mission, you're not like on email all day, you're building the future. There's another example of a guy who was building a cathedral. He was like laying bricks all day. That's really, really boring. But he's like, no, I'm building a true cathedral. I'm not just like stacking things on top of each other. So I love that concept, Dan. We're always trying to think about that. And we're fortunate to have that.
Sam, do you feel like you also kind of come from a similar situation there? Just knowing that your background, you worked on Broadway, you learned so much about makeup, started a company on kind of that lifestyle, and now here you are in a position where you're working with brand partners and have very much a sales mind behind you. Do you kind of agree with Dan, and it's who you're working with and what you're working towards rather than the day-to-day?
100,000%. And I'll also add too, it was a big decision to decide to leave all of that behind.
Yeah.
But knowing that what we're working towards, we're helping so many people every single day. And speaking honestly, I was not in a position to be starting a company. So to know that I can now help someone who might be in that exact same spot that I was in, and they'll have greater success than I did, it makes my day every single day.
Definitely.
I love that. It seems like so much of it is just about the people that we're around, and not only NextGen HQ as a team, but our community members, whether we are able to support them or even lean on each other for whatever is to come. It's so much matters about the connections that you build with those around you. We have an interesting question come from the audience on this one that I would love to hear from you on, a little bit of a personal deep dive, but as far as making relationships number one in your personal life, has your understanding of this through your work with NextGen allowed you to maybe see relationships that weren't so healthy in your personal life and break ties with those who aren't supporting you?
Wow. Who is this to? Anybody?
I mean, Sam, now you guys both picked up when I said this, so.
It's interesting for me. I'll go first and then I'll kick it to you, Mel. Making relationships number one. It's one of our company values. You can see it right on the website. And it's something that was asked, like, I think Jimmy asked me in my interview, what are you most excited for about working with NextGen? I said, making relationships with you guys, the team, because you're all such great people. And not knowing that was like a company value, like that was not me sucking up to try to get them at all, but it worked in my favor, I guess. But yeah, and it's something that I've always been a person who puts relationships first, but working at NextGen and having that drilled into me every single day, I'm more aware of it now. When I meet new people or start to have more conversations, I put that lens on a little bit more tightly, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. What I want to add is there's so many studies out there that show that people at the very end of life, those that have the strongest relationships are the happiest. There's a direct correlation between making relationships number one and feeling happy and fulfilled. Yeah. And we're all here trying to be happy and fulfilled. So why not make relationships number one? We're really lucky that that's one of our core values, and we need to do that anyways, even though we're already that type of person. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting.
Definitely. This is a deep question.
Yeah.
I have to say that I agree with Sam. I think just it gives you a little bit of a different lens of where you're spending your time with. I think even especially since quarantine has come into play, we all have potentially a little bit more time than we did without a commute or without being able to go out to restaurants, bars, etc. So we have this excess of time, and that made me really think about where I'm spending my time, how I'm spending it, who I'm spending it with, and what is the best use of my time. And so I hope that coming, out of this into whatever new normal we step into, I'm able to kind of use what I've learned through asking myself those questions as a barometer to better, share and spend my time in different areas. So I guess that's what I would say. I've just have a new lens on how and where I put my time.
Yeah, Dan, what's been, obviously that's a big takeaway from this quarantine period. Do you have any other big learnings that you feel like you've gained from the last couple of months?
Ooh, great question, Mel.
I'm really curious.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest one. And then I also think tying along to that simplification, we don't need to do as many things as we think we do. And so I think focus and simplification is another big theme. I don't know too many specific examples that I could give at this moment. They're escaping me, but yeah, that's a large theme.
Yeah, awesome.
I love that. Actually, on that note, I am curious to hear about you all, because talking about relationships, both internally and externally from your work, talking about things that you've learned in COVID, where we're being put in a situation where we really get to see introspectively and also retrospectively kind of where we're at. What do you think your understanding is of a work-life balance, or maybe more of a work-life integration? How have you built those structures for it to be separate when it needs to, and for it to be more together and flow a little bit better when it needs to? I'd be curious to hear from Dan on this one, just to start off.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question, because I had a 90-minute commute into Manhattan before all of this started, right? So that gives me 3 hours back in my day when I'm not in transit, right? So for me, I think it's a little bit of a blend, and I think I'm a little bit more forgiving to myself when I don't necessarily hit my routine 100%, or get out of bed at my ideal time, or go to sleep at the ideal time. And I think that I've kind of trained myself to be a little bit more forgiving and flexible in my work routines, actually, which is a good thing, and sometimes can be a bad thing. But I think overall it's a really good thing, because within that flexibility, you're then able to give yourself the breathing room to actually come back the next day and execute what your ideal routine is. So for me, it's being able to kind of build that flexibility muscle, and just be a little bit kinder to myself in regards to my routine, and if I don't hit it every day.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Now, would you agree with that? Do you have anything to add?
I completely disagree. No, it's so hard. That is the answer. That is literally the answer to that question.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I really like this question. It's a very next gen question. It's like work-life harmony, work-life balance. You work to live or live to work. At Next Gen, we're definitely the second answer for both of those, where we know we want to be really invested in something. We want to be really excited. That's when we do our best work, and we're overall happiest too. And so, but we also have to keep in mind that it's a really long game. And if you want to get to the quote unquote finish line, it might be 10 years away. You got to not burn out. And so you need to build in time where you're actually not doing work, where you're actively relaxing, you're actively working out or reading or whatever you care about. I'm really trying to value my reading time or time meditating as much as that one big meeting, because it's so important, and we don't always think about that. So that's one thing that I'm definitely working on, but that's, I guess, my overall approach to work-life harmony.
Mal, I'm curious, do you have a non-negotiable that you do every single day that you don't?
Good question.
Yeah, I need to call Rachel at some point to feel energized. I wish that was my non-negotiable every day. I got to get better. I'm sorry.
You can call me every day. You're welcome to.
Yeah, and it's working out. I need to work out for at least half an hour. That's actually all you need, guys. Download the Tabata app if you're into quick workouts. You have no downtime at all. Dylan got me on that. I'm hooked. Half an hour is all you need to feel really, really good. So that's my non-negotiable, Dan.
Awesome.
Sam, do you have a non-negotiable? Maybe even one that you've recently found because of remote work style that we're in?
Oh, I definitely do. I was going to add too, it's only been discovered in this remote world, but getting outside. So working out is great, yes, but I said when I first started to, and everyone laughed at me, when I work out, I either don't do it well enough or I go too hard and I walk like a penguin for the next week. So my new one is just getting outside, because this is where I'm at all day. This is I'm like very much living at my desk on the computer. So I need to get my body outside of the apartment, take a walk around the block and get outside. And yes, that does involve usually working out at like the outside gym right by my place, but at least getting myself outside. That's a non-negotiable.
Sam, I need an outside gym.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the comments. Jimmy, Justin, Sam, is that your mom?
Yeah.
I love that.
That's so sweet. And actually, speaking of the comments, we're going to pop over. We have just a couple more minutes, but I would love to get some audience questions rolling for you, because I see some good ones. The first one I'm going to go ahead and direct to Dan, right from Justin himself. How do you harness creative energies in your work every day?
Wow. Stumping me. How do I harness creative energies within my work every day? It starts with working out, 100%. That's how I start every single morning. Whether it's something small like yoga, or whether it's something, a little bit more, time consuming like a run or a circuit workout, whatever it is. For me, physical movement inspires creative energy and my mindset for the day. So that is a complete non-negotiable for me in the morning. And that's just how I get my juices flowing for the day, especially those creative juices.
Wow.
I love that. I hope Justin, you got the answer that you needed to be able to harness creative energies in your own work there. Now, I have a really interesting question for you that I'm excited to hear your answer on. What are your top takeaways and kind of understandings as an individual from being a part of many cultures?
Wow. A few big takeaways. Number one, everybody out there is fundamentally good. They are happy people and they want to work with you. Doesn't matter what culture they're from, that is the case. A couple other big takeaways are traveling and expanding your perspective can be so valuable, because we all have our own blind spots without even realizing it. And to connect with people from different backgrounds just opens up the doors. Like if you want to look at everything from how other countries are run to how people communicate, it's all really different. And I just think when you're able to fully meet a lot of different people and expand your perspective, you can then kind of pick at what you truly value. So I think those are two big takeaways that I'm just really fortunate to have gotten. I didn't do anything special. I was raised in China, so I got to deal with that. And I'm happy that I was able to learn that.
I love that. And I also feel like those two takeaways, just believing that fundamentally everyone is good and doing good things. And then the second one, being able to open yourself up to connections and meet people with different backgrounds and cultures than you. I think those totally kind of align even in your work and how you approach everything that you're doing with NextGen as well.
Wow, thank you so much, Rachel.
You're welcome.
So
Sam, we have an audience question for you as well. So what gave you the confidence originally to be able to launch your own business a few years ago? And I'm going to add to this question and say, what gave you the confidence to know that now wasn't the right time to keep going with that?
Oh, that is such a good question. What gave me the confidence at first, the honest answer being fully transparent, fake it. I do it every single day. You got to fake it. I wasn't confident. It was one of those situations, and I hate to bring gender into it, but I was the only female who was starting a business within this group of individuals that I was with, and it was very intimidating. To pitch for seed funding, I was pitching to investors who were all male and in their 50s plus, and I'm a 20-year-old female pitching cosmetics at them, like no idea what they meant. And I ended up getting the second highest amount of seed funding 2 years in a row. And that was my confidence booster to know, like, okay, I'm actually onto something that has value and people who are successful in the business world see that value. But then knowing that it was time to maybe take a step back, for me, I was doing so many different things at the same time. And I knew it was time to pull away when I started to enjoy my other tasks or projects more than that idea and that business that I was growing. So I still have it. I still pay taxes every year on this LLC, but it's on the back burner for now.
That is crazy. Took a really big risk in a very uncomfortable environment, but then you get traction, and that's how you get confidence. So that's the recipe. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
That is the recipe. Everyone who's watching this now or will be in the future, take note of that. I think we figured out the magic of being an entrepreneur right there from Sam's answer. And that's exactly what's going to give you the momentum to keep going. But to wrap this up on one final question, it came from Ian in the comments, and I do so love this because, of course, we're all working at NextGen HQ right now, and we'll continue to do so. So what are you most excited for over the next year or two, whether that's professionally or personally? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Mal, how about you go ahead and kick us off?
Okay. Thank you, Rachel. What I am most excited for with NextGen is to expand the movement that if you are in college, you don't need to get that consulting job. If you're really talented, you don't need to take that defined path. You can do something entrepreneurial. You don't even have to build a business. You could be a politician or a musician. And it's going to be scary, but with the growing NextGen movement, we're going to make it really clear that we are here to help you out and go have an impact and really live a fulfilled life. So short answer is expanding the movement.
Dan, how about you?
Yeah, I want to piggyback a little bit off Mal. I'm really excited to continue building this movement, and I'll sum that up in a quote that I saw earlier this week. We're building, there's two ways to build the tallest building in town. One is to tear all the other buildings down around you, and the second is to just build the tallest building. I'll tack onto that. We at NextGen HQ are not only building our building, but we're also helping the community and the next generation of business leaders build their skyscrapers as well. And that's what I'm so excited about, is to just continue to grow that movement and that idea that in order to build the lives that we want to live, we're also helping others build the lives that they want to live. So that's a really powerful mission to me.
Yeah, Dan, I love that. Dan's quotes, guys. Dan has all the quotes. Unbelievable.
Sam, how about you wrap us up?
I have to agree with both of these handsome guys next to me, but not really next to me. I am so excited to help the next generation and keep giving the momentum and maybe help people get the opportunities that we didn't necessarily have growing up. We're still growing up. I'm an adult in training all the time. But, just helping everyone build their skyscraper, build that biggest building. And I'm very excited for the next gen building that Dan Russo is building.
And y'all, on that note, thank you so very much for joining us for Live with NextGen HQ. To all of you three lovely faces, to everyone watching this, these are three of the people behind the scenes working to make sure that you have the resources that you need to achieve, that you feel the momentum in what you're doing. So please make sure to say hello to these three individuals. We're going to make sure their LinkedIn profiles are in the comments. If NextGen HQ, who's commenting, can go ahead and share Dan, Mal, and Sam's LinkedIns. Reach out to them, send them a little hello. I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. And for everyone else who enjoyed this live and wants to stay tuned for what's next, nextgenhq.com/getmomentum. Sign up for our roundup. This shares all of the curated resources and opportunities directly for you to be able to make the most of every week. We share upcoming webinars. We share about this cool thing called NGS at Home, the first ever digital NextGen Summit that's coming soon. So please do stay involved with us. And we will be seeing you oh so soon, everyone. Have a good 4th of July.
Okay.
Bye.